This episode of Warp 5 is brought to you by Audible.com, offering more than 180,000 titles for smartphone, tablet, and desktop. To get a free audiobook of your choice and help Trek FM at the same time, visit audibletrial.com/trekfm. And also by Enterprise in Space, an international program of the non-profit National Space Society. Find out how you can help science and education and become a virtual crew member aboard the NSS Enterprise Orbiter by visiting enterpriseinspace.org. And if you want to join in on the conversation and share your thoughts on this episode or any other, please join the Babel Conference, our listeners group on Facebook. Just type Babel, that's B-A-B-E-L, into the Facebook search field. We look forward to seeing you there.
Hi, this is Tucker Smallwood from Star Trek Enterprise. You're listening to Trek FM.
How we doing, Trip? Ready when you are. Prepare for warp.
Course laid in, sir. Request permission to get underway. Let's go.
Welcome, Boomers, to another episode of Warp 5, Trek FM's dedicated Enterprise show. I'm your host, Floyd Dorsey, and I'm joined by Warp 5's chief engineer, Brandon Shea Matala. How's it going, Brandon?
Roll them bones, baby. We're going to have some fun with the dice tonight.
All right. This is really exciting, folks. For this show, we have a guest returning to the NX-01 that will be a very familiar voice to Trek FM listeners. Tonight, Brandon Shea and I are pleased to be welcoming Philip Gilfus back aboard. Welcome back, Philip.
Well, thank you. It's cool to be back. I've actually been adventuring here on the NX-01 with my Enterprise rewatch, getting ready for Discovery. So this has kind of become a little familiar, kind of a second home. Well, third, fourth. I mean, I watch a lot of series. Where would this be? But anyway, it's another home of mine. So I'm glad to be here.
47th. It's your 47th home.
Very good. So folks, remember, if you want to get in on the discussion for the episodes, just drop into Facebook, go to the Babel Conference, B-A-B-E-L in the search field. Come right in there and join in with us. And also, if you like hearing what's coming at you here in just a moment or on all the Trek FM shows, just visit patreon.com/TrekFM to get more information.
And we'll just point out before we get in there that, Philip's talking about how he's getting ready for Discovery. We are recording this prior to Discovery releasing. However, this will be dropped in the feeds well after Discovery has been released. So
it's one of those timey-wimey things.
Well, with All Access, I could watch Discovery whenever I wanted to,
True, that is true, actually.
I heard that
and
All
with
Access
podcasting, you can listen to it anytime.
of a cup of coffee.
That's right.
Uh-oh. Oh, my gosh, don't get that started. Oh, please. Oh, no.
We don't have it in Canada.
So,
how much is Netflix Canada? Is it like a cup of tea in there?
What is Canada? I have to subscribe to Crave, which is like $7 or $8 a month, which is fine. It's no big deal.
So that's like a venti, man. Jeez,
yeah, venti.
Is Starbucks expensive in Canada?
No, it's socialized.
Yeah, I would say it is a little bit. So it's a little bit expensive. I'm gonna just yeah.
Nice. Okay. So, hey, future episodes. If you have been sticking around to the end of Warp 5s, hopefully you've been soldiering through it, and you get down to the end. You've been hearing some teasers for what we've got going on for you. But we're actually, I was wanting to just throw a teaser out there for this episode. So, Brandon, we have some retrospective.
Yeah, we got another season 3 retrospective coming up. We're going to continue on, and the plan right now is to have Heather and Patrick back on again for the next 4 episodes, which I'm drawing a blank on. I wrote down, I didn't have it open here. Floyd, you're throwing me under the bus here.
Or under the Shuttlepod.
Under the Shuttlepod,
right.
Shuttlepod 3.
Well, we're getting toward the end of season 3, so we're starting to get to some major drama going on there with the Xindi crisis that we've got going on. But also another future episode we've got coming is a game show style with Trek geeks.
Yeah.
That's going to be coming up soon. And speaking of game show, we have the game master here, Philip Gilfus. Going to throw us some ENT RPG our way here, folks. Philip, what do we have in store here?
That's right. Well, Floyd and Brandon have been, nice enough in the preceding few days and weeks here to create characters. We're going to be doing a nice role-playing game here on Warp 5. And so I will be, as you said, the GM or DM or whatever phrase people like to use for whoever's in charge of the games here. I believe, we're pretty nerdy here on Enterprise podcast, but for those who may not be familiar with role-playing, Brandon...
We could call you the VM, then you could be the Vulcan Master.
That's right. Well, that would be a boring game, though. Let's admit it. But so Brandon and Floyd will be playing characters. They have asked that this be set during season 1 of Enterprise, of course, and so they'll be playing characters there, and I will put them in a situation, and I will be playing all the other characters because I'm quite a character myself, or so my mom tells me. Any questions before we begin the festivities? Before I initiate? Well, I know we don't have holodecks in Enterprise time, but before you put your fingers in the jelly of what we're gonna do here,
the alien ice cube.
Yes,
I've got to say I probably have a ton of questions. I have never ever participated in anything like this ever. So I probably I don't know enough to even know anything on this. So I'll just go with it.
Well, I don't want to have to put my hands in anything because I don't need any more nipples.
Okay. All right.
Well, first of all, this is always a tradition in role-playing games. How about we introduce characters? So I have character sheets. I doubt it'll get that complicated, but I have character sheets for each of you. But Floyd, tell us who you will be playing today, and maybe just one or two things about your character.
And this is a custom game that you made. You designed this.
Well, I mean, I based this off for the nerdy nerds out here. I'm basing this off the Last Unicorn edition of the Star Trek Next Generation role-playing game as far as how I came across this. But as far as the actual story, yes, I created it from my brain.
And this is the super short version.
Yes. Well,
that you were saying, because we don't want to get into the big 3 or 4 hour marathon
where we have to start getting like the Jolt Cola and stuff like that. Yeah.
Copyright Philip Gilfus 2017.
That's
okay,
right.
So my character is going to be Parker Jackson. His rank is going to be a crewman 3rd class, so that's about as low on the totem pole as I can get here, I guess. My position is assistant transporter technician. So therefore, I'm in engineering. I'm a human. I'm 22 years old, and I'm a male.
All right. Yeah, very good, very good. And then, Brandon, can you introduce your character that you'll be playing?
So my character is Judith Palmer, and I got a story behind that. Ever since Dragon Warrior 3 on NES, I have always picked a female character whenever I've had the chance. I don't know why. So her rank is ensign. She's an environmental weather specialist. And she's also human.
Right. Very good. Yeah, I think that's with Enterprise. There's not much choice unless you're going to.
Yeah, there's no
that third alien they never talked about. Yeah, unless you're going to be the dog or something. Okay. Okay. So, all right, Ensign Palmer, you find yourself in the cargo bay of the NX-01, of course, where you're stationed on the Enterprise. You've been put in charge of a detail. Because there was this weird incident recently where nobody really remembers what happened, but according to Captain Archer and Commander Tucker, aliens raided the ship, but luckily they returned everything, and so everyone just knows they were knocked out and really don't know what happened. But Ensign Palmer, your mission today is just to do inventory of the cargo bay, just to make sure the aliens, we were told, put everything back that they stole, but we got to make sure everything is where it's supposed to be. So you've been assigned 2 crewmen for this little inventory duty today. One is Crewman Jackson. I don't know how familiar you are with him. And you also have Crewman Cutler. I don't know how familiar you are with her either, but they will be helping you out in the cargo bay today. So it's about afternoon. You've already had lunch, so this is maybe about around 1500, and so you're there in the cargo bay, and you have 2 crewmen who you are directing to do this inventory of the cargo bay. So do you have any orders for your crewmen?
Ensign Jackson I want you to be writing down the information, or sorry, Crewman Jackson, and Crewman Cutler will be doing the counting.
Yes, sir, says Crewman Cutler.
Very good. I can handle that.
Guys, I mean, sir, and Parker, do you really believe the story the captain told us? What do you think happened when we were passed out? And she's over there sort of fiddling with a pad and checking the contents of a box.
I haven't thought about it. I'm just trying to just do my job, because I have bad feelings about what could have possibly happened.
Well, myself, I'm a little bit worried about that doctor we've got. I mean, like, with all those animals that he has in his sick bay, like, who knows if we might have contracted something, and that's why we lost our memories.
No, Phlox is really nice. I mean, at least I think so. And you see Cutler blushing a little bit and then maybe hiding her face as she's busying herself in another cargo bin. But she tries to quickly change the subject, and guys, and what about, I hear there's a movie night tomorrow, and trust me, I really enjoy it, what Commander Tucker tries to help, it brings the crew together, but some of the choices, 7 brides for 7 brothers, I think tomorrow they're showing Showboat. They made movies after the 20th century.
Well, I'm sure you're not really that worried about the movie there, Ensign Cutler or Crewman Cutler, because you're probably going to be focused more on the gentleman doctor that'll be escorting you. Am I right?
Well, Dr. Phlox and I are just working closely. and she kind of coughs to cover up.
Well, I agree on those movies. I mean, I like horror movies myself. I mean, have you seen Jaws 19? Man, that's an epic movie.
And you hear more coughing from Crewman Cutler, and she sort of drops the pad she's holding and starts coughing a little bit harder.
Are you okay, Crewman Cutler?
Yeah, I'm just, I've been working here in the cargo bay and sick bay and all those other places that the aliens were supposed to be. You notice that she's turning slightly purple.
Jackson! Go get the doctor, quick!
Okay, sir, right on it.
and she suddenly falls to the floor, and just doesn't seem to be moving anymore.
I'm gonna go get her a drink of water.
Okay, are you? I don't think there's any of those places in the cargo base. So are you running out, or are you?
No, that's not a good idea. I should stay here and hold her head.
Okay. As you approach and look at her closer, you notice that she's now a shade of purple.
Is it a whiter shade of purple?
Yeah, she's getting a little darker.
A darker shade of purple.
Mm-hmm.
This is frightening. This is not what human beings should look like. They should not be purple. Where is Jackson, damn it?
Where is Jackson? Crewman Jackson, what are you doing?
I'm on my way to get Phlox. I'm on my way back.
Okay. I mean, I like how you're running, because there's no system of communication on the ship that you could press a button, so that's fine. So with that, it fades to black. It's been a long road.
Oh,
okay.
no.
Yeah.
Getting from there to here, it's been a long time.
Okay. So now we're all at sickbay. Crewman Jackson had fetched the doctor, and then he employed y'all using to carry Crewman Cutler, who seems to be unconscious and is a very dark purple, to sickbay. He's putting her into the imaging chamber, and he's pressing buttons, looking around, and he's kind of as he's examining the dials on the that he's getting for the diagnostics, he's sort of looking at you all, and Ensign, Crewman, tell me exactly what happened.
Doc, I just saw her. She was just sitting there, and she was looking at the pad, and we were talking about movie night, and all of a sudden she started coughing and just changing colors, and she just passed out. I don't know what happened.
I concur with that statement.
And where were you exactly?
We were in the cargo bay, counting inventory as per orders from Captain.
And
Come on, Phlox, tell me, is this going to be contagious? Like, what is this?
I do not know, he says as he sort of goes to another console, pressing some buttons and looking up, looks like vital signs. Tell me, what materials were you handling in the cargo bay?
Well, everything. We were supposed to inventory the entire cargo bay.
Oh, goodness. Could be Jargadian fever, or even Iconian plague, or... And he presses a couple buttons, and he's like, oh my. And he goes to another counter, pulls up one of his medical scanners, and he starts scanning you, Ensign Palmer. And then he sort of scans you, Crewman Jackson.
What is it, Phlox? What's going on?
Well, it appears you two haven't been contaminated yet. It appears that this Crewman Cutler is suffering from Dramia 2 plague. I don't know where it could have come from, unless those alien visitors we had. And then he sort of looks back on the display from the imaging chamber. Oh dear. If we can't find the inoculation in the next 5 days, Crewman Cutler will die.
Well, we can't let that happen. We'll find this inoculation. We have to go and tell the captain right now.
All right.
Jackson, tell the captain, but push the button on the comm system this time.
But I like to run. I like to run and go get people. I go, all right, I'll call the captain.
No need, crewman or ensign. I'll inform the captain. Let me just access the Denobulan database. It has more information than Starfleet. It says here that the inoculation for Dramia 2 plague... Oh, curious. It can be found from a particular kind of lizard. Huh.
Do you have one of these lizards in your stash, Doctor?
Well, my Tolkarian iguana... No, it's completely different.
Try it!
I'm afraid there's only a specific kind of planet that would have the lizard reptilian life form we're looking for. I'll inform the captain. You two, don't you have a cargo bay to attend to?
I'm not going back there, Doc. Are you kidding? That place. I'm not going to take a chance of catching whatever this is. I don't like purple. Purple doesn't look good on me.
I think it's time we took a break. Let's go get some food from Chef before we go.
I can definitely do that. Let's go, Palmer.
And while you two are dealing with the imminent death of one of your crewmen by eating pie, I assume.
Yeah, comfort food.
Right. And so with that, we're going to have a nice log entry here to break up the act. Chief Medical Officer's Log, December 18th, 2151. As a result of Crewman Cutler showing signs of Dramia 2 plague, I'm officially declaring a quarantine on board Enterprise. I believe that most of the crew remains unaffected. Commander Tripp is modifying the decon chamber to keep Crewman Cutler contained. I've given all the information about the cure to this plague to Sub-Commander T'Pol. She is working on finding a suitable planet that would be host to the reptilian lifeforms, most commonly containing the blood plasma T cells from which a cure can be synthesized. I'm trying to remain optimistic about our chances, but time is ticking away. All right, so y'all are there in the crew mess. There's it being third shift. There's just a few people, maybe 2 or 3 people there just for a quick snack.
Man, can you believe what happened to Cutler? We're so lucky that we didn't get infected also.
We are very lucky, and Cutler is my friend, and I think I'm going to ask the captain to go down on that away mission when they go to the planet to look for these lizards. I'm going to volunteer.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think I want to help out too, because I just can't believe it happened right in front of me, and I also can't believe how in the world does Chef make these cookies so good. I mean, good grief, this is so good. I'm gonna take some of these with me when we go down to the planet.
I know.
Sub-Commander T'Pol to Ensign Palmer. Sub-Commander T'Pol to Ensign Palmer.
Yes, Sub-Commander T'Pol.
I assume you got up and pressed the button with a mouthful of cookies.
Push the button. Yes, Commander T'Pol.
Ensign Palmer, please meet me on the bridge.
I'll be right there. I walk towards the turbo lift.
Crewman Jackson, you get called to the decon chamber to help out Commander Tucker. Ensign, you walk, or you take the turbo lift up to the bridge. After pressing the button, of course, to get into the turbo lift. As you enter the bridge, you see the usual crew complement is there on the bridge, except Sub-Commander T'Pol is sort of there in the back conference area of the bridge, and she sees you and says, Ensign, I require your assistance. And she motions you over to the display.
I'd be happy to help you, T'Pol. You know what happy is, right? That's an emotion.
Yes, Ensign, I've been told junior officers like yourself have such energy.
Apparently my character's a racist or something, I don't know. He fears T'Pol and his animals, and it's like, or she does.
I believe you have some environmental training. Phlox has told us that we are looking for a specific climate, and we are attempting to use short-range scanners and long-range scanners in order to find a planet that would have the appropriate climate for the reptilian life form that he believes will save Crewman Cutler. Do you believe you can assist me using your knowledge on the short-range sensors?
I sure can, and I would love to take this opportunity to teach you about my new classification of planets, because I'm not a big fan of the Vulcan classification.
And she sort of arches an eyebrow at you and sort of begins, adjusting the sensors on her own, giving neither much attention to what you said. So you may choose to either accept that as either I have no care about what you're going to say, or please go on and keep talking.
Well, like, for example, I mean, you guys call it Class Minshara, like it's really long. I've come up with a new system where I just call it Class M.
And she looks up and says, "How very human of you," and continues working.
What does that mean?
I have found that species, especially those of your age, seem to find a self-centered approach to life to be more common. Vulcans, however, believe in a community spirit and embrace the alien and the new and strange. I find that humans, especially some that I've encountered here, believe that only human ways are appropriate. Perhaps you are one of those.
Perhaps.
And so she gives you sort of control of the short-range sensors. Are you going to use your vast knowledge of all things environmental to scan for planets?
I am. T'Pol, tell me what type of atmosphere we're looking for.
She gives you that information, and I'm rolling for you. Ugh. All right. I'm rolling again for you. Okay. You're not finding any information on the short-range scan, so there doesn't appear to be any planets within, a few light years. Now, with the 5-day timeline, of course, that's a little disconcerting. Did you want to access the long-range sensors instead?
I do, but T'Pol, I have a question for you before I do. In order to speed this time up a bit, do we have any information as to possibly the direction that these aliens came from? Like, has anybody bothered to scan subspace for a warp trail?
Their warp ion trail that we encountered several days ago appears to have dissipated. I believe the captain gave them warning enough that not only will we not find them, but they will know not to find us.
Okay. Thank you for that information. I would like to take the long-range sensors for a spin.
For a spin, Ensign? I'm not familiar with that sensor apparatus execution.
Oh, it's an old Earth expression. When you say you're going to give it a spin, means to try it out. Because people used to be able to buy vehicles like cars and stuff, and the tires would spin on them. So if you wanted to test the car to see if you wanted to buy it, you would take it for a spin. So it's just a thing, a saying.
She sort of presses a few buttons on the opposite side of the console there to give energy, increase energy to long-range sensors, and she says to you, "Well, Ensign, spin away."
Okay, I'll spin.
All right. So you want long-range sensors here? Okay, there we go. Long-range sensors detect a planet within the parameters of Phlox's specifications. It's about 2 days away at Warp 4.
T'Pol, we found, I think, what we're looking for. It's 2 days away at Warp 4. I strongly recommend that we go there at Warp 5.
She sort of looks over your shoulder, and you see her kind of go to she goes to her science console, the back of it, and presses a few buttons, and according to the Vulcan database, this planet is called Eidos. Some Vulcans have had contact with the natives there. I believe they should be helpful.
Is that the Justice Planet?
No, that's Edo.
Oh, okay. Wouldn't have surprised me.
Actually, technically, it's Rubicon 3, but... Yes, you can cure her by having lots of sex. All right.
Take justice.
So now we're going to go over to Crewman Jackson. You're over at the decon chamber. You're actually outside of the decon chamber. When you arrive, you see that Crewman Cutler is lying inside the decon chamber. Phlox and the chief engineer are there. And as you're walking up, you hear Dr. Phlox talking to Commander Tucker. Yes, Commander, I believe she's not contagious in there. Just if you help improve the shielding and make sure that the radiation bands are increased in the decon chamber, we can turn this into a very decent quarantine chamber. Well, thanks, Doc. Don't think I've ever had to build one of them before, but don't worry. We'll keep care of her. And then Phlox sort of nods and walks away and sees you and kind of gives you a pat on the shoulder and then kind of hurries away off to sickbay.
Crewman Jackson reporting for duty.
Oh, there you are.
What can I do to help? What can I do to help?
Grab a spanner over there. What we need to do is help increase power to the decon chamber. It's not used to being a quarantine specifications, but if you look at that pad over there, doctors provided, should be able to kind of teach it yourself how to do it. But let me know if you have any questions.
All right, I'll get right on it, sir.
Man, I feel sorry for Crewman Cutler over there. Kind of makes you wonder if sometimes it's a little bit too dangerous being out here in space.
Yeah, I've never seen anything exactly like this, sir. But growing up on the cargo ship that I grew up on, with my parents, and we actually saw a lot of stuff. It was something.
Oh, that's right. You were a boomer, like Travis. What was the name of your ship growing up?
It was the Kamishi Dawn, sir.
I guess going at warp 5 now must seem like going like life in the fast lane compared to life in a cargo ship.
Yeah, but we got it there. That was the main thing. You just have to engineer it up and get it on down the road.
I sure bet y'all didn't have movie nights every week on the cargo ship, did you?
No, sir. Nothing like that.
Commander Tucker sort of gets to work. So, all right, before you're gonna attempt to use your skills as kind of an engineer. I know you're a transporter guy, but you've used some environmental systems before, so you're gonna kind of see if you can increase power there. So I'm gonna see what you can do here. You've managed to boost up some of the EPS conduits that lead to the decon chamber to increase its capability. Go to another console and sort of increase the radiation bands that sort of ensure that the decontamination process that turns into a quarantine chamber. Commander Tripp looks up at you and says, I think the thing I never thought about being on Enterprise is actually losing someone on the crew. I mean, there's always danger here in space, but I don't know what it would be like if we lost someone. Did you ever lose someone there on your cargo ship?
Yeah, sir. Unfortunately, it did happen. You're out there and you run into some dangers, and you just run into stuff that there's no way around it. We did have some bad things that happen sometimes, and you just got to push through it, though.
With Captain Archer in command, I'm not too worried, and he sort of leans in. If you promise not to tell her, Sub-Commander T'Pol kind of makes me feel better knowing she's up there on the bridge.
Yeah, I know the feeling, sir. Very professional.
All right, and with that, you're now going to try to help correct the radiation, and your first attempt does not go well. Let's see your second attempt. Okay, some alarms start going off with what you're doing, and Trip goes to your console, presses a few buttons, and he's like, Crewman, let's just say the decon chamber may not be your area of expertise, but don't worry. There's no one else I trust in that transporter than you.
Thank you, sir.
I was thinking of asking you to go fishing, but looks like you'll be busy doing this repair work here.
Oh, man. Okay. All right, sir.
And with that, we're going to go to a captain's log here. Captain's log, December 21st, 2151. Enterprise has arrived at the planet Eidos. The Edosian ambassador has been very sympathetic to our predicament. Dr. Phlox reports that Crewman Cutler's condition has worsened, and so far, 4 other crewmen are reporting similar symptoms. The Edosians will be giving us guides for our landing parties. There are 2 swampy areas on their lower main continent that they feel confident house the lizards that Phlox needs. I'm sending 2 landing parties to the surface. Phlox assures me that none of those personnel are yet infected.
Now, I love the animated reference. Now that you said Adosians, there we go. I didn't catch it at first. These are the 3-armed aliens.
All right. Now that Palmer and Jackson, you've been given a task. You hear that Captain Archer, Sub-Commander T'Pol, and Ensign Mayweather are going to be piloting Shuttlepod 1 to landing site Alpha. Ensign Hutchinson and you two will be on Shuttlepod 2, since you two have been already certified by Phlox as not being, infected, and going to landing site Beta. And so you're told that you will meet with an Adosian guide once you arrive there, who will sort of, set you right in the right area, and hopefully you two will be in charge of finding the life form that you're looking for. Now, which one of you wants to be in charge of sort of the medical container?
Me.
Okay.
Because I'm the ranking.
Sure. And it's nothing too, just more of a container, so that if you do find the lizards, Phlox as basically the instructions are, you only need about 1 or 2, and if possible, he also is giving you some hypo sprays, just to maybe take, you take 1 or 2, and then there's other ones that you don't take. Just get a blood sample from them, and that should be all he needs. And so y'all are on Shuttlepod 2, and you have your appropriate OA team equipment. Ensign Hutchinson pilots you down to the surface of Eidos. It's a very green planet when you're going in on arrival. It doesn't seem to be a lot of blue water, but obviously it's there somewhere. When you arrive down, there's sort of a clearing that the Shuttlepod 2 comes down in, and as soon as the door opens, on the planet it's late afternoon, but it looks really dark. It's not like pitch black or anything, but all around you is sort of swamp. Like I said, you're in a clearing, so you're not in a swamp, but around you sort of is swamp, and everything sort of seems dark, foreboding. You don't really hear sounds like you would hear on Earth, animal sounds or anything, but it certainly does seem very, very different. It's almost too quiet for a place like this, and so. Ensign Hutchinson says, I was told to stay with the Shuttlepod. Apparently that Adosian guide's supposed to meet you all outside. So good luck. Let me know anything you need. I'm just a communicator away.
Before we go, Ensign Hutchinson, can we call you Hutch?
I had an uncle that always called himself Hutch. He always annoyed me, so no.
Good to know, Ensign Hutchinson. So, Ensign Palmer, I've got a bad feeling. Like, something's just not quite right here.
Yeah, the lighting in this situation is not quite correct here. I would like to take a...
You hear this humming. It's getting louder. And you have... I don't know if you know what a speeder is in this universe, but it's a land speeder, and it sort of goes... flying, not flying, it's pretty fast, maybe 100 miles per hour or whatever kilometers is for other people, and comes sort of coming towards you and sort of swings by you, not too dangerous, but gives you a little whoosh effect like someone's trying to show off, but it sort of stops, and it's sort of hovering now before you, and there's an Adosian, and he steps off, and he's this orange alien with, as you know, 3 arms and 3 legs. He has sort of this helmet on, and he sort of takes it off, puts it on his, hovering speeder, steps off, and sort of looks at you all and says, "Hello, I am Arok. I am to be your guide. Are you the personnel I was told to meet?"
Yes, I am Ensign Palmer of the Starship Enterprise, and this is Jackson.
Yes, I'm Crewman Jackson. That's quite an entrance there, sir. What kind of vehicle do you have there?
Do not call me sir. I am Arok. I work for a living. Ha 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 ha. Oh, that is a joke among us. But this thing it actually belonged to my father. It's about 3 decades old. I only take it out on weekends, but I was told that I had to get here as fast as possible, and it's the fastest thing that I have, much better than the one I use for the family.
Well, before we go anywhere here, I'd like to I have my tricorder here. I'd like to take a scan of the atmosphere, because I think there's something wrong here. It's really dark. So, do you mind, can we have a minute to scan?
Do what you wish. But this is
Okay,
just
I'd like to scan
a
it.
regular autumn evening. But okay, so you have your tricorder and your scanner. So what you detect is that to the south is basically lots of swamp. To the north, there's more clearings, and I think the cities are farther north, or of where the Adosian, or the closest Adosian city is. You are detecting a variety of animal and plant life to the swamp to the south. Anything more than that, you can't really get anything more specific. And as far as climate or anything, you're not detecting any atmospheric disruptions or anything like that. So doesn't appear like there would be any weather to worry about since you're an environmental specialist. I know you would check for that sort of thing, but no storms coming or anything like that.
Okay.
So, Ensign Palmer, what readings are you getting? Or something just not right here?
It's probably just gas.
Yes, many of our marshes and swamps emit various gaseous entities, but it is normal part of this environment. I'm told that one of you would be an environmental specialist. Judging by your confusion, I assume it is you, crewman.
No, that wouldn't be me, sir. I'm just an engineer over here. You need to talk to Ensign Palmer.
So you must be an Earth climatologist.
I specialize in Earth, but I like to think I know about other planets.
Very well. Then follow me. And he sort of starts walking south towards the swamp. Now, this is the major breeding season for the Flamel dragons. That is the life form closest to the specifications that your captain gave us. Many of the young ones are found in these swampy areas. They are similar to, I am told, a animal on your home planet. It is, and he sort of pulls out from seemingly nowhere on his middle arm, he looks like his version of a pad, and he sort of struggles for a bit. Agnuana? To your Earth, Agnuana.
Iguana.
Oh, are you sick?
No, that's how you say that word, iguana.
That is when you have a infection, the noise that we make.
Oh, is it?
Yes. And so he continues walking. You're sort of getting to be in the, still solid ground, but you can see things are going to get marshier here in a second. There's, before you, a stream, and it's I'd say 2 meters across, before you, a stream. It's shallow. You could certainly walk in there if you really wanted to get a little dirty. It looks like it'd probably be only, to your knees, but it sort of kind of is where you're before you. And Arox just turns to you and says, "Yes, I believe this would be the greatest way for us to go." And you sort of see him with his 3 feet sort of do a 1 step, 2 step, 3rd step, jump, and he goes to the other side.
Jackson, follow him.
Whoa. Dude, I'm not sure I can make that jump.
I order you to follow him.
All right, sir. I'll give it a try.
All right, so let me look at your athletic abilities, crewman. Let's see. Okay, you're actually a pretty good runner here, so we're going to try for it.
You did eat a lot of cookies, though.
Well, that's not how I remember the conversation.
Maybe it was me that ate cookies.
Oh, this will be interesting. Okay, crewman, you're full of, you were given an order, and by gum, you're gonna do it. So you start running, and of course, you're not carrying any equipment like some cookie people will name. So you're running, and you sort of jump, and you are about 1.5 meters. And then you start going down, and so the majority of your body makes it, but I would say your feet land square into the stream. So you're if you wanna, you're sort of caked a little bit, not because it's not that marshy, but you gotta your front of your uniform is gonna have dirt on it, and if you don't want your boots to start leaking, you might want to get up.
Get up, crewman.
I almost made it. Sorry about that, sir.
And you notice that your hat fell into the stream.
Man, here, get the hat. Reach down, grab the hat, wring it out.
Okay, yeah. There's a lot of mud and guck, and so.
Okay, crewman.
All right.
I think that I'm gonna toss this thing that I'm carrying to you. Can you catch this?
Sure, sir. Just toss it on over here.
All right, so let me look at your athletics here. And what was your sport again, Ensign Palmer? I believe you were a cricketer.
Cricket,
Is
yeah.
that what it was? Okay. So let's see what kind of a Google.
Man, I love
throw
cricket.
here.
Such an awesome sport.
Oh, okay. So, I don't know, you describe to me how you're throwing this. Are you doing like granny free throw American basketball?
Actually, no, because I love cricket so much, I'm actually pretending to like cricket it, and I like run towards the edge, and then like underthrow it to him.
Oh, like a cricket
Like I
bat?
would swing a
Right?
cricket
Okay.
bat.
Okay, I see. All right. Well, you do it, and it sort of flies successfully over the crewman, and sort of hits Eric in the back of the head. Hey, what? Don't, ow, hey.
Nice shot, Ensign.
Damn it.
I believe this equipment belongs to you. And he sort of hands it to Jackson, since you're closest to
I'm
him.
very worried. Is the equipment okay?
It looks like it's still okay. How about are you okay, sir? I mean, you just took that right in the back of the head.
Ah, yes, but it's all right. I have children.
That's good. Okay, Ensign Palmer, are you going to make a jump for it?
I'm gonna try. Yes. Catch
Okay.
me.
So are you
I'm
jumping?
gonna run and jump.
Okay. All right. Okay. This will be interesting. I'm trying to figure out how many kilos the cookies are adding, but I'm gonna go.
Throw the cookies out of your pocket.
Less than 0.1.
Yeah, you jump. It's a good jump, but again, this is you kind of land again into the stream, but it's kind of like the edge of it, so it's almost like jumping into a puddle. So what happens is when you land, and as crewman Jackson, I don't know how serious you were about catching him, but instead what happens is that Ensign Palmer, you sort of land, like a puddle, and so you get a little bit on you, but most of it goes on the crewman.
Thanks a lot, Ensign. As if I didn't already have enough of this gunk on me.
Oh, yes, you might find that some of the local mosquitoes are more attracted to you.
Great.
And so now that you've sort of landed on the other side of this stream or whatever you want to call it, you notice that there's a trail that's before you, but to the left and right. And so it's not straight, so it goes left and right. Now there are sort of trees and bushes, and it's it's not pitch black, but it's darker here. And so you can't necessarily see, that far in front of you. I mean, a little bit, but you can't necessarily see where the trails go. They sort of go left and right. And it looks like maybe they branch forward to the direction you're supposed to be going in, but you can't really tell. Eric is sort of ignoring the trail and just going straight, and so he's sort of into the marshier part, and he says, I believe that the breeding area is usually located deeper into the swamp.
All right, Ensign, I guess we're gonna have to. We're already muddy. We might as well just go ahead and go on in.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay, so you all sort of veer off from sort of the more dirt trail, and now you're sort of getting into the marshier part, and so you're sort of squishing in. It comes out. It doesn't cover your boot, but you're sort of if you remember your 0G training, sort of like a magnetic boot, it's kind of what it's like walking, chook, into the muck. So, you're always half scared that the next time you put your foot up, that suddenly your boot will stay on the ground and your foot will come out of it. But you don't. You keep on
Jackson,
walking.
this sure is a mucky time. A mucky time?
Yeah.
Now, as you all are moving sooner, you sort of smell, you know what earth swamps are smell like. It's similar to that. And you see before you, there's this big, huge, I don't know, pond isn't really the right word, but if that works for you, this small body of water, I don't know, say about like 25 meters diameter, so it's big, but it's not huge. There seems to be sort of like what appears to be sort of flies, in that general area around that body of water, and it's kind of very like muckish looking, brown. Looks like there's just organisms, like small organisms, like algae or whatever this planet's version of it is. Just this brackish, yuckiest goo of this place. Eric, we may have to go around this unless... And then you sort of hear the shrill... kind of coming from above you.
What is that?
I thought that we would not be here when the adults were. And if you look above you, pterodactyls really wouldn't be the best word to use. It looks like a flying lizard, so we'll say pterodactyl, except these are a little bit more purple, and one looks pink, as if color doesn't belong in this world. And they're sort of kind of coming towards you as if they're going to do a dive bomb.
Get down, Ensign.
Eric, can we shoot these things with our stun weapons?
Eric seems like he's disappeared.
Ensign Palmer, what? All right, sir.
Jackson, get out your phaser and stun these things.
Jackson pulls out a phase pistol, sets it to stun. Man, he misses a couple of times. Man, sir, these things are hard to hit.
Oh, I'm shooting as well.
So there's 3 of them, and they sort of dive bomb at you, but not really. They don't even get that close. They sort of veer up and away, and then you're shooting sort of, makes them sort of spread apart, and so it's quiet for a second. I mean, it's quiet.
Sir, what do you think that was? Like,
now what?
And so this time, as you look up, instead of all 3 coming at you, they're coming from you from 3 different sides, almost like a, triangle if you would diagram this from above. So, one sort of, I'll just say I'll assume for the moment that you 2 are standing next to each other.
Palmer, take cover.
This place is 3s. We got to shoot them again. You take that one, and I'll take these 2.
We're going to go with Crewman Jackson since he only has 1 target. Wow. Okay. Crewman, your phase pistol, you fire. You hit the one you're aiming for. You almost swear you see it kind of like the beam bounce off, but it still seems to affect the flying dragon, because it's sort of right as it's dive bombing and you hit it, it sort of kind of like turns away and then flies
strange.
away.
It's almost like it had some kind of shield. Did you, Ensign Palmer? How are your animals acting when you shoot at them?
All right. Well, he all right. So, which one are you aiming for first, Palmer? Since you're going to go for 2,
the bigger one.
Okay. So you shoot the first one, and sort of the same thing. The beam seems to hit the creature, and then maybe bounce off a little bit, but it does the same thing that happened with Jackson, where it flies away, and then you turn for the second one, but because you were busy shooting the first one, by that time, the second one sort of dives bomb. Its talons, as you soon see, it has talons, kind of graze your shoulders, and so you now have 2 cuts on each shoulder, and so I assume you fall to the ground.
Ensign, are you okay?
Ah! No! It hurts!
And the one that just attacked you, Ensign Palmer, looks confused for a second, because it kind of, after it attacks you, kind of goes up a bit, hovers, and then just flies away. And then you see kind of Arok almost come from behind a tree and said, "That is the call of its natural predator. I believe I scared it away." And then he sees you lying there. He's like, "Oh no, let me treat you." And so Eric comes to you and lays you down, Ensign, and from seemingly nowhere again on his arms, he pulls out what looks like this kind of brown paste and kind of rubs it into your left shoulder first. And so your right shoulder definitely feels like it's on fire from where it cut you, but the left one almost is numb.
This better not be feces.
I'm not sure my translator works for all of your words. I will have to look that one up. And again, he sort of pulls out the pad that he had before, clicks a few things, and says, "Ah, yes!" and then puts it away.
Ensign Palmer, is it feeling better?
Oh dear. I don't know. It's gone numb and smells funny.
You feel like you have a little bit of a weight on your shoulders, because it doesn't hurt, but it sort of feels like it's almost like when you have a pounding headache, except it's your shoulders. And so, but otherwise you're good to go. Other than you'll probably be a little bit slower and you don't have as much.
Okay, sir.
Jackson, I'm going to need you to carry the equipment from here on out. My arms are useless.
I guess it helps to have a third arm. Ha ha. And he nudges you, Ensign Palmer, which actually hurts like hell.
Ow! Hey, Eric, I've been meaning to ask you. You've got 3 arms and 3 legs. Is there anything else you have 3 of? Ah!
He can't hear you over the din of the swamp. He leads you around the pond-like area. It takes, 15 minutes if you're keeping track of time, because you have to go all the way around. There's some detours you have to make because there's some things in the way, and it's hard to get around. But finally...
How many days did it take to get us here?
2 days, yes.
2?
Mm-hmm.
2 days, yeah.
After a little bit going through the muck, like I said, 15 minutes, you spy another water area before you. It's about 2 times bigger. Except that what makes this one different is it looks like there's little, islands is the best word. Very small. And in each of these islands, it looks like these purple, because it's a little far off, but you can see these little purple life forms. And as you're walking closer, Eric, I believe we have found them. These are the young flameal dragons. I believe that is what your captain and doctor are looking for.
Come on, Ensign, let's get one of these. Let's get out of here.
Right. We should probably take 2.
And then as you two are walking closer to this body of water, because again, the islands are in there, Eric uses 2 of his arms to hold one of you back and one the other back, and he's like, no, there are Adosian Igans in the pond. He pulls out his pad. I believe you call them gators.
This is pretty hairy situation here, Jackson. What do you recommend we do? I would like some advice.
Sir, I'm not really sure about this. We have to get over there, but look at the size of those reptiles, if that's what you call them.
Eric explains. Yes, the Adosian Eox, most likely you cannot see them, for they are under the water, but if you look closely enough, you can see their noses and eyes breaking the crest of the water. But on each of those islands, those are the flameal dragon that your captain wants. And as you get closer to the edge of the water, you see these islands. I'd say the closest one is maybe 5 meters off. It's a fairly big one. It's the closest one. And you see maybe, a dozen of these sort of purple, the size of an earth iguana lizards, just milling about. And then you see these sort of smaller islands to the left and right that have maybe, 6 or 4 or 5
I wonder if there's anything around here that we could use as like a bridge to get over there.
Let's look over here by this forest pieces here.
Okay. Yeah, you're surrounded by, there's no obviously not like redwoods or anything, but there's some smaller trees, and you find that they are, because it's all marshy area, nothing's very strongly rooted here. So there are a few trees here that
I think. What if we built a raft or something that we could actually walk on or float on over to the island?
We could try that, but my arms are useless.
Well, my arms are working fine.
Yeah, let's definitely try that. Ensign, why don't you keep a lookout for those adults? The adults if they come flying back. And Eric, let's see if we can find some pieces right here that we can strap together to try to make a raft.
So y'all managed to find some, it's not close by, but you venture out a little bit. You find some, good, decent size trees and timbers, and some trees have fallen over. You sort of gather them or drag them down. As they say, 5 arms are better than, there's a bunch of vines, of course, throughout this whole place. You're getting a little bloody, pulling with the thickets and it's different stuff, but you're getting it done. But at this point, Crewman, you're pretty much the swamp thing. Are y'all building
thinking more of a raft?
I like the raft idea.
So you've gotten together. It's about the size of a good door of size for a raft, which is clearly not meant for more than one person. If Titanic taught me anything. But anyway, so you got a decent, well, I say decent, a good sized raft given the materials and time you're operating under.
Ensign, I guess you're not going to be able to go across. So, Eric, are you able to jump across, or do you need to also take the raft?
No, I believe it is too far a distance for any jumper, even one as experienced as me, though I'm not as young as I used to. My third knee has had to been replaced, but I believe I could help navigate the ramp. Is there some sort of guiding stick or something we could use to navigate the ramp?
Yeah, I found one over here. This'll work.
Arak and the crewman, I guess, get on the raft. As the raft is Ensign, are you looking at the skies? Are you playing with your shoulder poop, or what are you doing?
I'm watching the skies for more aliens to come in, or more of the dragon things.
So the raft is kind of very slowly because there's no current at all, obviously. So, you're sort of using the stick crewman, I suppose, to sort of go across the river Styx here, and you sort of make it. It does take a minute or two to make it to that first island, so you sort of bump up against it, and all those sort of baby or teenage or whatever age iguanas, purple, are just chilling like
So,
this.
Eric, can I just grab one, or what do we need to do to catch it?
Oh yes, perhaps we can have a feast later. I guess it is only fair that you sample some of the cuisine that you are hunting after you've used it for your more
I'm not so
medicinal
sure about
purposes.
eating wildlife here because, chef's a heck of a cook. I wouldn't want to. I'm not sure about trying the lizards here, but I sure do appreciate the offer. Well, how should we try to catch them though? Should I shoot them with my phase pistol, or what do you suggest?
Iraq looks at you, looks at one that's before him, picks one up and hands it to you.
Oh, well, that was easy. All right, let's put it in the container.
I think we should get 2.
Good idea, Ensign Palmer.
You remind me of a fable of my story, where another man, back in the ancient days, took 2 of each animal. Perhaps I will tell it to you later.
We have a similar type story.
Okay. All right, so you collect the lizards, and you make your way back. Let's see, are you going to... before you shove off, I don't know, crewman, if you got the same instructions that Ensign did. I don't know if you have the hyper spray to collect the blood samples as well.
I can do it, Ensign.
Okay.
I'll take the sample. Just tell me how I'm supposed to do it here, and I can do it.
Should I toss you the hypo spray?
Let's wait. Let's wait till we get over to the other side. So it's a good thing that we tied a vine to the raft. And we tied it to your waist. So you just need to run away from the swamp here and pull us back across.
All right, so you get back. Eric has a couple of the female dragons that he's kept for himself for good eating later. But he, lets you take some blood samples from them, and he guides you back to Shuttlepod 2, where Ensign Hutchinson is nods to you, Ensign Palmer, and then when he sees Crewman Jackson, he says, "I'm not cleaning the Shuttlepod after you."
I'm sorry, Hutch. I'll take care of it. I've seen way worse.
Don't call me Hutch.
Sorry, Ensign Hutchison. I forgot that was a issue.
We can create crewman 4th class if you're interested.
I'm pretty sure 3rd class is as low as it goes. But
I'm going to recommend him for the Medal of Dragon Armor because he was a good crewman down there on the planet.
Thank you so much, Ensign.
And then Eric gets on his speeder and sort of revs it up. Are you sure I cannot interest you in one of these flamboiled flammea lizards before you leave?
That's okay. I'm all good. What about you, Ensign Palmer? Are you going to want to take a sample?
Does it taste like chicken?
It tastes like, and he pulls out the pad again and presses some beeping. I believe your word is jerky.
What kind of jerky?
Well, he has a small pouch that he pulls from something nowhere and offers it to you.
Go ahead and take a bite, Ensign.
I'm going to taste that. I'm weak. I need some food.
Yeah, it's like beef jerky.
Yeah, you can. I'll come back later for it after the doctor heals me up.
Yes, those are Adosian Slim Jims, I suppose.
Yub nub.
So you return in Shuttlepod 2. Everything goes well. I assume.
Jackson, you got to try this jerky.
I don't know. Okay, I'll try some. Hey, that's actually pretty good.
So the Shuttlepod returns, and you hand over the materials to Phlox. Crewman Jackson, I assume. Now, of course, you're in crewman quarters, so you don't have a shower, but you use the Sonic a couple times, I assume, to get to some sort of state of cleanliness. And so the next morning, both of you have been requested to join the captain at his mess for breakfast.
Wow.
That's a good thing.
Wow. Ensign Palmer, have you ever had breakfast in the captain's mess before?
No, but that guy eats so many large steaks. I've heard he has steak for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
That sounds good to me.
All right, so you both are standing before the door.
Push the button.
Crewman Jackson pushes the button.
All right, it opens up, and the captain's seated at the table there, and there's 2 empty settings there. I was expecting you. Ensign Palmer and Crewman Jackson, have a seat. I believe we'll have one of the stewards along here in a moment.
Thank you, sir.
Do you have any requests?
For food?
Yeah, he sort of points out to his plate where he has like waffles, eggs, some fruit, and coffee before him. He's like, "Yes, whatever you want. I believe the stewards can get it for you."
I'll have what you're having.
Me too, sir.
Excellent. I believe I did the same thing when I attended my captain's mess when I was a young officer. He sort of smiles at you and takes a sip of coffee. It was a good job you 2 did down there.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, it was just it was kind of a walk in the park, sir. We were just doing what we had to do to help Ensign Cutler.
Ensign Jackson is being modest, sir. I recommended him for the Dragon Medal of Honor. He did great work down there.
Well, it's good to hear, crewman. You know, the contact you made, the Adosian, Arak was his name?
Yeah, I believe so,
Yes.
sir.
Well, apparently, he raved about you 2 to their ambassador. I think you 2 have done a lot to help increase the relationship between Starfleet and the Adosians. Who knows? Maybe one day one of them will join Starfleet. And he sort of laughs to him. So, what are you 2 looking forward to on our next mission?
Well, sir, I'm still trying to clean all this gunk off of me right here, but I look forward to maybe finding a drier climate. Maybe if we can spot a drier planet. Maybe. What do you think, Ensign Palmer?
I'm happy to go wherever the ship takes me, because this has been the most amazing adventure ever, and I can't wait to tell to Paul about all the new classifications of atmosphere that I've discovered and named for myself.
Oh, yes, Ensign. He stifles a laugh. Told me about your interest. And, but I appreciate everything you 2 did down there. You 2 made yourselves worthy to serve on a ship called Enterprise, and all we're doing to make sure that Earth and Starfleet makes its name as we explore. And with that,
Wow.
so that is the end of the story.
Philip, that was actually really cool. So this is like a lost episode.
Yes, the episode is called Cold Blooded.
It's from season 2, right? Oh, season 1.
Season 1.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Man, now I do have questions. Like, we heard you rolling dice. So, like, what did you have multiple choices that were going on the dice? Is that what you were rolling on that?
Sure. I had targets for what you all had to hit in order to make certain things happen. So jumping across things, phasing animals, that sort of thing.
Yeah, you've never played an RPG before.
No, I mean,
have
this
you,
is my
Floyd?
very first time, so I don't know.
Yeah, so how it kind of works is like your character has certain strengths and areas, right? So like if you're a really charming individual, you might have a charisma of like 10 or whatever. And then if you go into a situation where you got to like do a peace treaty or whatever, and you need a 17 or higher in order to pass the situation, well, you roll a d20 usually, and then you add your modifier. So if you roll a 6, and you'd add 10 for your charm factor, and then you get a 16 and you fail the mission. Right? Or if you roll a 12 or whatever, then you add your 10, and that's 22, and you succeed the mission.
Okay.
Right? So
that's cool. And I didn't do very good earlier, though, with the EPS. Trying to get the energy going.
Well, it's your first assignment on as
Very
a crewman.
good.
Yeah, can't win them all.
So, Philip, thank you so much for coming on and being our game master here for us and giving us a lost episode of season 1 here that our listeners didn't even know about. So, where could our listeners find you or follow you on social media?
Sure, if folks want to learn more about the misadventures of Ensign Palmer and Crewman Jackson on the Enterprise NX-01, did they survive to the end of the 4th season? They can find me on Twitter, where my handle is NC Public Servant. And they can also listen to me talk Star Trek on the Nerd Party, where I host a show called City Alpha 3.
Very good, very good. Thank you so much, Philip, for coming aboard. This is very...
That's NC for no cookies.
This is very, very interesting. Thank you so much. Well, playing some Enterprise RPG is not the only thing we've been doing on Trek FM this week, so here's what you may have missed elsewhere on the network.
Previously on Trek.fm, Stage 9, a podcast about the people who make Star Trek.
By getting people like Braga to come on board and work on this show, what they're going to be doing is deconstructing that thing that they did for all those years on Star Trek.
Earl Grey.
Is there anything else we need to add, or do we think that's the...
Are we going to cure Riker, or?
Oh shoot! I forgot about Riker. Yeah, sure, fine. We'll keep him around.
Yeah, we've cured Riker, and then for me, this would or not.
Meta Treks.
Troy's quarters, Data's quarters.
They're very Spartan.
They're very Spartan.
In fact, Data's girlfriend even says they're Spartan.
Yes. And so what does she do? She brings him stuff.
A trinket to fill it up.
to fill it up.
Warp 5.
And this reminds me so much of the Cage. So much of the Cage.
See, I think of you think of the Cage too, but I also think of what's his name, Baylock in the Corbomite maneuver.
Yes,
right?
yes. Offering him the drink.
Tranya.
And that's what else is happening on Trek.fm.
Check out these shows and find out what we're talking about in your favorite corner of the Star Trek universe. If you're an Apple user, be sure to hit the subscribe button in Apple Podcasts on iPhone, iPad, Apple TV, or the desktop iTunes app to get the latest episodes as soon as they are published. And while you're there, please leave us a star rating and written review. And if you're not an Apple user, we've still got you covered. You can find all of our shows on Google Play Music, Stitchers, TuneIn, Spreaker, SoundCloud, Windows iPhone, and most third-party apps, and you can stream and download the MP3 file or grab the RSS link from our website. We'd love to hear your comments about this latest episode here. How many of you have actually played role-playing games? What decisions would you have made specifically? Well, would you have jumped over the Marsh like Ensign Palmer tried to do? What would you have done? Just let us know. You can go to the Babel Conference in Facebook, BABEL, and join in on the discussion. You can also find the network on Twitter at TrekFM and on Facebook at facebook.com/TrekFM. And you can also leave us a voice message on speakpipe.com/TrekFM. If you want to play out your role in our little adventure that we had going on there, you can record maybe a line or two of what you would have done. What would you have said when we came back to the ship covered completely in mud? Leave us a voicemail and we'll see if we can add that to a future episode. Also, if you'd like to send us an email, you can use the form from our website at trek.fm/contact. Just choose send to a show and select Warp 5. That comes right to us. And if you enjoy all the Trek FM shows and Warp 5, you can also help us keep these shows coming to you by becoming a patron of the network on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/TrekFM. That's patreon.com/TrekFM to get all the details. You can check out all the perks. Get in the patron zone if you get high enough. All it takes is $5 to enter the patron zone. You could also get producer credits and more. So just find all the details at patreon.com/TrekFM. And our co-associate producers for Warp 5, I always like to give them a shout out. They support Trek FM and Warp 5 through Patreon. That's Mike Morrison, Tim Cooper, Justin Oser, and Mark Flessis. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I also like to thank Tony Robinson for creating the very cool show art, and it will actually be very interesting to see what Tony has in store for us on this one. And Brandon Shea for editing and publishing Warp 5. Thank you so much.
You are welcome.
So, Brandon, if we had to... if our listeners want to get in touch with you about maybe your superior lizard hunting skills and they wanted to get some tips from you, how could they get in touch with you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Brandon Metella. You can find me here on the network with new episodes of The Edge, which is all about Star Trek Discovery. You can find me poking my head up every once in a while on the Babel Conference. And you can find me over on the Fandom Podcast Network with Good Evening, an Alfred Hitchcock podcast, which is a podcast that I do with my friends Chris and Tom. And Floyd, where can people find you when you're not messing up the... what was the thing you were trying to build? Oh, I'm going to change my ending there. And Floyd, where can people find you when you're not saving my butt on the planet?
Well, you could sounds like you could probably find me in a muddy marsh at the time, but otherwise you could probably find me poking around there in the Bible Conference, the Trek FM listeners page on Facebook. So Boomers, thank you so much for listening, and join us again next time for another episode of Warp 5.